I believe Alexander Usyk is in Riyadh, and Tyson Fury hasn't even thrown a punch at Ngannou yet. And he's already saying the fight has to happen with Usyk in December or he gets sued, and it must happen in December. So he's making deadlines. He did that with Usyk before, and we saw what happened. He did that with AJ. Normally that's a bad sign when Tyson starts running his mouth so early. Yeah? But Usyk said 23rd of December, he'll be ready. Eddie Hearn said that Usyk won't be ready. Well, I don't know how Eddie Hearn knows that. Usyk is saying something different. He said he'll be ready. Now, I don't remember seeing an official announcement recently for December or January. But Fury is saying that there has been an official announcement. And if it was up to him, he wouldn't have made a decision to make the announcement. He said it's disrespectful to Ngannou. In a million years, he wouldn't do that. But he's saying the promoters of the event are paying the money. They're in control. He said he never counts his chickens before they hatch, ever. He said he wasn't happy at first for them to announce it, but there was a lot going on in the background. He said he doesn't concentrate on any other fight other than Saturday night. Now, that's a sensible approach, but he also went on to say, he said he's not looking past Ngannou. When you count your chickens before they hatch, you usually come unstuck. I remember a few years ago when Anthony Joshua was in New York to box a little unknown called Andy Ruiz, and all he could talk about was fighting Deontay Wilder and me. He didn't concentrate on the little fat fella in front of him and ended up getting wiped out. He said he doesn't do stuff like that. I don't care if Usyk is ringside. I'm only looking forward to a good fight with Francis Ngannou. Whether it's easy or hard, Tyson says he'll be prepared for it. He said he won't be taking his eye off it, especially not for some middleweight guy when I have a giant in front of me. Now, I can't find a Boxing Scene article where I originally read this, but everyone in the comment section rightly pointed out that the difference is Ngannou has no boxing experience. Andy Ruiz was 31-1, and the one was a controversial majority decision loss to WBO champion at the time, Joseph Parker, a fight that I thought Andy Ruiz won. Andy Ruiz also had over 100 amateur contests and won the vast majority of them. You know, AJ's fight was a sanctioned world title fight. Ruiz had to be ranked high enough by the sanctioning body to get that shot. Tyson Fury's fight has got some WBC challenge belt, but it's not an official world title. It's two different fights. I'm not saying that Tyson Fury can take his eye off the ball. Apparently, the man from Cameroon has wrecking balls in his fists, and if you hang your chin out, inexperienced or not, can do damage. It's funny, like, okay, BOXREC are not recognizing Fury versus Ngannou. They're not recognizing that, even though the British Boxing Board control the sanctioning. I don't know what their reasons are. Haven't done the research. Do they still consider it an exhibition, even though the board are sanctioning it? The board don't sanction exhibitions, as far as I know. But what about Wardley versus ADELEYE? That's for the British title. Why is it not on BOXREC? Why is not Joseph Parker's fight, Makhmudov's fight, or TACKAM versus BAKOLE? Why are they not on BOXREC? Why did BOXREC recognize Logan Paul versus KSI and the rest of the card, Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney? They were on the card. Why did they recognize that card and not this card? Ngannou has a pro license like Logan and KSI. I don't get it.
You know, we're 8 weeks out now, so when we talk about BENN EUBANK, it's very difficult to make a decision without knowing if they're going to go. I think that fight will take place in January in the UK, and we're looking to try and close that, you know, over the next few days.
Now, with EUBANK turning down the opportunity to fight for 2 belts against Janibek, we can assume that the Conor Benn fight will soon be announced. And I believe Eddie's going to wait till the announcement of Usyk and Fury to decide where and when more than where, the fight will be held. He definitely doesn't want to clash on the same day. Like, you know, they were talking about both fights clashing on the 23rd of December. And look, Fury and Ngannou is a huge event. You know, sometimes you don't realize how huge these events are until you get to the weigh-in a day before the fight. But then, you know, they got Tyson, Larry Holmes, Roy Jones, Ricky Hatton, Pacquiao. this one, that one. Whole load of famous celebrities there. It's a huge event. They went to town on erecting the stadium. And Eddie and Nice will not want to be shut out of the big fight picture totally. So they're going all out to make EUBANK and BENN a big an event as possible. And they're going to hold it in the UK. If the British Boxing Board of Control don't comply with what Eddie and Nice and Cali have planned, they'll do their own thing. If they do fight in Britain and the British Boxing Board of Control are not licensing the fight, what BOXREC going to do? You going to discount this as well? Because it is a pro fight. It's a pro fight. It is a celebrity fight. It's a celebrity fight. But it's a celebrity with pros who are on the periphery of world title contention. EUBANK more than BENN. And if AJ's on the card, are BOXREC not going to recognize AJ's fight? He didn't get caught up in no situation with UCAD or VADA. And yes, that's a huge card. Anthony Joshua, with whoever he's fighting. A double header with EUBANK and BENN. Huge, huge card. So with EUBANK turning down the Johnny Beck fight, where he could become unified champion. With Fury versus NGANNOU, with KSI versus Tommy, KSI versus Jake, we are now approaching boxing as a more event-based sport than whatever sanctioning belt is being put up for grabs. We're approaching that era. This is social media, people. This is social media. With all the outlets of entertainment you can get on social media, there's too much competition out there. If you can't provide the entertainment, the bottom line is you're going to go out like Showtime and the PBC. There was someone in the comment section saying, I'm surprised you're paying NGANNOU versus Fury any attention, Beats. Well, one thing, I'm not a snob about boxing. History tells me that promoters will do anything they can to make money. And if you're a real boxing fan, you have to understand compromise. It's either they break enough bread to satisfy the network, or you get the situations like you saw or you're seeing at Showtime. So what's better? Complaining that we don't want to see NGANNOU versus Fury, complaining that we don't want to see Jake Paul and Tommy and celebrity influencer YouTube boxing, or watch the boxing that we call real boxing decrease in production because it can't produce the numbers. Which one? This is the real world. When you and I get up early and do jobs to feed kids or provide for family or self, sometimes it's not a job that ideally you would do. It's a necessity. In the adult world, you got to deal with the necessities.
When's it going to happen?
Is it going to happen, guys, next year?
When's it going to happen, guys?
I don't know. He talk about fight, but he never fight.
Boxing doesn't have the option to be stush right now. You've got Bivol and Beterbiev over there. Beterbiev said he talks about fighting, but he doesn't want to fight. And they're going face to face. Listen, if they're serious about boxing and they put the money into the fights we want to see, then what am I going to do? Start moaning because Tyson Fury is fighting NGANNOU? It's signed, sealed, and it's ready to go anyway. There's nothing you can do about it. I've been watching the British heavyweight title since '83, David Pearce. I want to see Fabio Wardley and ADELEYE. You know what I mean? And I apologize to nobody for that. I want to see it. Walking away is not the solution. Walking away from the heavyweight division, which is what HBO and Showtime did, I believe has a big contributory factor of why they're both out of the game right now. But I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm talking about when the Klitschko's were champion and they threw them off the networks across there. Yeah, so with Usyk and Fury looking like it could be a done deal, what are we talking about now? We could be talking about 31 years since America's had an undisputed heavyweight champion. And if Fury wins, the last two undisputed world champions would have been Brits.
What do you make of Fabio Wardley at the moment, David Adeleye? What do you think when you have a look at him?
Nothing. Just not the same as me. I see his mannerisms, even how he carries himself, and yeah, we just ain't the same. But I don't really take it all in. Like I said, what matters is what happens on fight night. You know, what he does other than that don't really bother me.
The Boxing Beat Weekly opinion sounded like ADELEYE was taking a shot at Fabio's masculinity, sexuality. Don't know if he either suspects or someone told him something. I don't know. Or perhaps more head games. ADELEYE came in 230, 232 or something. Wardley 240 plus. Not changing my pick. Still picking Wardley, the champion, to retain his belt. In one of the recent weeklies, I did say BAKOLE was going to come in really heavy. And he came in at 299, 1 pound below 300 pounds. It's a huge weight. TACKAM came in 260 plus. I expect Martin to be very, very slow. Somebody in the comment section seemed to be shocked that I was picking TACKAM. And look, maybe BAKOLE wins, but I don't believe long term he can be effective at that weight, 300 pounds. BAKOLE, to me, looks like he's coming in too heavy, as I predicted he would. And he's not very active either. Not saying Carlos is extremely active, and he's getting on too, Carlos. But I'm going to pick TACKAM. I'm going to stick with it. The main event, Tyson Fury weighed in 19 stone 11, and Ngannou weighed in 19 stone 6. Ngannou didn't look like he had any excess, or at least not a lot excess body fat. He looked in tremendous shape. 6'4". But we always reminded that this is not a bodybuilding contest. Fury, well, he never looks that clever on the scale, does he? You know what I mean? Let's keep it real. But no worse than usual. Fury is 9 pounds heavier than he was for Chisora. He weighed 277 for the third fight with Wilder, late 2021. But let's not forget, there was 20 months in between the second Wilder fight, early 2020. And I believe he had an ankle injury in preparation for the Wilder fight. So maybe he couldn't do all the cardio necessary to shed the weight. Now, a lot of people are saying it shouldn't matter what condition he's in against Francis Ngannou. Well, he should win, but if you're going to compromise your mobility with a big puncher, regardless if he has limited boxing experience, that 1 in a million punch that they say Ngannou has to land might now be 500 to 1, 200 to 1. You never know. Shane and Chris will want to keep it simple and be as effective as they possibly can. Chris must avoid freezing on Saturday. He must avoid freezing. He's got to be calm, prepared to carry out the game plan. Lawrence, not a great infighter, as far as I'm concerned. They want to try and take advantage of that, get the crowd on their side. If Okoli finds himself in a situation where he's clinching and hugging, they want to take advantage of that. Hopefully the crowd will start booing, put Lawrence under some pressure, gesture to the referee to do something about it, get Lawrence out of his groove and his comfort zone, make him fight inside. Because if they can't do that, I don't see how Billiam Smith wins the fight, just being honest. That was my breakdown in May, a week before the fight happened. And here's what Lawrence Okoli's brother had to say on the Undefeated podcast.
I haven't watched
From your perspective.
I haven't watched it back like that, but live, yeah. One thing I'll tell you is they were both holding, but the issue is with narratives and things like that.
Yeah, Chris
Lawrence
managed.
got the blame.
He
And I'll
managed
tell
it
you
well.
something else.
True, I saw that.
Shane was so busy in that corner. Hats off to him.
He done his work.
What? The whole fight I could hear Shane on the ref. Chris is
Yes.
holding Lawrence.
Yes.
Lawrence, ref. Then the
I
ref
saw
gone
that
to
as well.
Lawrence.
Good
It's like-
work. I
I'm
saw that
like,
as well.
what's going on?
he knows Lawrence.
Chris is looking at the ref. Shane shouting at the ref.
They played it
Yeah,
perfect.
so it's like, don't get it twisted. As fans, like just fight fans,
Yeah.
that couldn't have been an enjoyable watch.
No, it
Full
wasn't.
stop.
It was.
I called it to perfection. I called it to perfection on my breakdown. You can hear. That's Lawrence Okoli's brother talking with KG and Trav, Undefeated podcast. Sub their channel. It's in the description box. And when I broke that fight down, Okoli and Billiam Smith, I was thinking at the time, when I broke it down, what I would be telling Lawrence Okoli. First, I would have told him, we're not taking it in his backyard. First thing. Not that he hasn't fought out of London, he has. But this was undeniable pro-Chris Billiam Smith crowd in Blackpool. And I said, it's not like I just randomly said it. I said, if you cannot turn the crowd and the referee on Okoli, I don't see how you win the fight. And hey, Big up Chris Billiam Smith. You're world champion. But your coach, Shane, done an excellent job. An excellent job. Like Okolie's brother said, Shane was screaming at the referee all fight. Only thing I didn't account for was Shane making sure that if the referee didn't hear Billiam Smith, you were going to hear him.
He's not doing it in quite the same way now. And Marcus McDonald is going to take another point away.
If I saw that as a potential hindrance in him defending his belt, someone in his team should have saw it. Vidal Riley, he wants next shot at the new British and Commonwealth Cruiserweight champion Isaac Chamberlain. Easy fight to make, both promoted by BENN SHALOM. One problem is Matchroom's CHEAVON CLARKE has been mandated by the British Boxing Board of Control as Isaac's first defence. Now, eyebrows shall be raised at the prospect of what happens when another Matchroom fighter attempts to fight a boxer fighter, when 2 bids have been withdrawn on the day of the purse bids by BENN SHALOM in under a year. Fraser Clark, Richard Riakporhe. I noticed on a few websites and on Twitter, and a lot of people are speculating that Isaac will give the belt up rather than fight CHEAVON. But then again, Vidal Riley wants to fight Isaac as well. Vidal, he also wanted to fight CHEAVON in a final eliminator for that title. See, the fighters don't care about all this network politics. They don't care. You know, Ben has incentivized fighters to worry about network politics, and it's the last thing fighters should be engaging in. The last thing at all times. I mean, you see what it meant to Isaac when he won the title. He was in tears. He's not ranked in none of the governing body top 10s. That might change after winning the British title, but he's not ranked. So it's not like he's got some title shot he can just walk into. Surely he has to defend his British title. Mikhail Shalak, the Polish cruiserweight, has the European title. That would be a difficult fight, and Ben would have to pay a lot of money to get him to put his belt on the line in Britain against Isaac. Tough fight as well. Shalak lost on points to Lawrence Okolie early 2022, actually his last fight with Matchroom.